you and have you on here today. Um, it's crazy because I was just like trying to recollect on uh how long I have actually known you, right? And it's interesting because it's like we haven't seen each other in a couple years since
Yes.
I left Jersey. But we keep at least semi in contact, so we know what each other is doing here and there. So I'm really glad that you took the time to join us today. And I actually was just saying, like, I like the fact that we're ending on this note because I think the beauty of both worlds of being someone who has cultivated their path in their academics in terms of your STEM interest and things like that, but also have found a way to embrace your artistic side and really venture out on that. So I think it's a perfect example of how not everyone gives up their day job to do things they love, and they find their way, their balance of what they see themselves doing. So before we get into the nitty gritty, and introduce yourself for the people, and tell them where you're from, and then what your fine arts, I guess, field is, and also what you do, your 9 to 5 kind of situation.
Okay, well, my name is Monique Travis. I'm from New Jersey, have lived here my whole entire life. I have my background is in science, so that's how like we connect because yours is bio, mine is natural science and forensic drug chemistry. So that's my field. And then on the side, I sew. I learned how to sew when I was in high school, and then I took some time off, and then like 2014, I like started picking it up more consistently, and I've been going since then.
Yeah. So for you, let's talk a little bit about where you started and you envisioned yourself in terms of your career. I know that for you, we had met in a leadership, um, I guess,
It was like a
program in the
career thing in
summer. It was
Rutgers.
like a career thing in Rutgers. Honestly, my mom used to sign me up for stuff, and I just showed up, and I was just like, okay, I'm here. And so there's a couple of years between us, but we were both in high school, I think, at the time. Maybe, or was I like in ninth grade? I don't even
I
remember. I
was
just
a
know it was
freshman, so you had to be like a junior.
a junior. Okay,
Yeah.
so it was high school, and we spent like a week or so at a leadership through Douglas College at Rutgers, and but then we aspired, for different things. And so, talk a little bit about the early Monique and what you envisioned for yourself in terms of going to college and things.
So I always knew I wanted to go to Tuskegee. That was always going to be a thing. And I knew that I wanted to be a medical examiner. So I always loved forensic science. To this day, eat, sleep, forensic science. I can do anything with it. But then I went to college. I had my child. And to be a medical examiner, you have to go to medical school. So that was just a decision I decided not to do, just because of the time and the sacrifice that it would require to be away from my child, because you have your 4 years of medical school, 4 years of residency, and then
Mm.
2 separate years for that specific specialty. So I would be this age now if I decided to go straight through from college. So I didn't feel like it was worth it, but it
Mhm.
still worked out because I was able to get into the field of forensics. So
So then, like, how did you make that shift for yourself in terms of moving from the idea of going to medical school? And so, what program or what did you essentially engage in to make the shift, and what are you doing now?
so I looked at a lot of different things. I looked at like EMT programs, and then when I was at Ryder, I saw a flyer to be a pathology assistant, and they have those type of PA programs, but they were in Connecticut, West Virginia. Nothing was close to home, and just through like researching and looking, I came across University of Florida's master's program, forensic science. They have forensic DNA biology, veterinary program, just plain forensic science, and then forensic drug chemistry. And I've always had an interest in drug chemistry, so it was perfect. Online program, the only one in the country, and it's one of their top programs. So really, I was just like, I'm gonna get in. I don't know what else to
There's
do.
no other option.
Yeah, there's no other option. I was going to get in. I didn't care what I needed to do. I studied for the GREs for maybe like a year because I was just scared that I just wasn't gonna get like, the high range that I needed to get in, because it is a competitive program. They actually did not accept me at first. They said that I needed to take 2 classes to prove that I can handle their coursework. And then they accepted me under conditional acceptance. So then the second semester, I had to keep my GPA above a 3.0. And then finally in the fall, I wasn't supposed to be in school that semester because my GPA actually dropped, but they didn't catch it. So yeah, the rest of it, I was like, I thought I had a hold of my account. I was ready to plead my case, and they didn't catch it. I was like, thank God, we're going to keep this on the low. But then that following semester, I got a 4.0. So I was like, you definitely can't kick me out now.
Right. Now I already proved myself.
I'm in here.
So I guess the question becomes like, I mean, you said you learned how to sew in high school. And so like you said, you took some time off, so you didn't really continue with the skill set. And then like what was it that made you say, let me pick this back up? Like what were you inspired by?
Well, I had my son, so my mom started sewing because she sews. So she's
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
okay. It was refreshing. I made a
Yeah.
little baby bag. I made some stuff for him. I would maybe sew like once a year, and then in 2014 I was home. I just picked it up more. It just became like more of a therapeutic thing for me. Because you're not really thinking about anything else. You have to focus on what the task that you're doing. So from there, I didn't really have a vision when I started. I just needed to
You just
sew. And then
Yeah.
over the time, like, you were one of my first customers for clothes. You got like the rough, like the beginning stages of me really trying. But that's important, and it does mean a lot, because in the beginning, we're all trying to figure out, and we do need support. We need customers. We need people to believe in us and see the vision that we don't see for ourselves. And then just over time it grew. People give compliments, people ask, can I make something for them? Then it's like, oh, do you have a website? Are you selling stuff? And I'm just
And you're
like,
like, oh, okay.
I'm just sewing. But you keep up with it. And 2019, my friend pushed me to get an LLC. And then I just,
That's all she wrote.
you have a plan, but sometimes you just have to get started. You just have to get moving.
Yeah.
You're never going to
So
have it
I
all
love
figured
that.
out.
I love that because I would share the same sentiment. I mean, I would consider myself a first follower. What I mean by that is like when I see somebody got energy, I'd be like, oh, let me back you up. Like I'm the type. And I do remember it was like one of my profile pictures on Facebook, but the skirt I made, and I got so many compliments on that. I tried to fit it not too long ago. I don't know what happened to me that year, but I had lost so much weight and I tried to put it doesn't fit anymore. So we might need a new piece, very soon.
Okay.
But like, but yeah, I remember, and it's crazy because I don't remember even thinking about or doubting your skill set. I was like, oh, you made that? You make me this. And it was like as simple as that. But I think what you said is poignant. Like you didn't have like this laid out plan of being like, oh, I'm gonna do this, but it was like as you developed your skill and you got that positive feedback, or even maybe negative, where you're like, oh, I could do this better and blah blah, and you started to master your craft. There's that, like, I guess that to keep adding, right? It's like, okay, if
Yeah.
people are asking for a website, maybe I should consider a website. Okay, like now I got orders. Maybe I should actually, do it legally and
Yeah.
right. So I guess I'm always curious, like how certain transferable skills. Do you think that either skill set has like benefited in any of like being able to sew things and create things from like this? Because I've seen patterns and they don't come the way they look in terms of the
No.
finished outfit. But like in terms of like science, and how you think and how you navigate and why you're curious, is do you see a relationship between the way that you approach your seamstress? Okay, yeah, talk
Yeah.
about that.
So I don't really do a lot of free hand sewing. Like a lot of people can just design from scratch. For the most part, 99% of the stuff I'm making is from patterns. But with the patterns, like I can adjust. I have the freedom to like maybe I want to split because I love a good split, or maybe I want to, maybe I want to extend my skirt. Maybe I don't want it short, or maybe I want it long. You can then add your own special touches to it. As far as science goes, like I said, trial and error.
Hmm.
That's science. Like you have to, keep figuring it out until you get it right. And in the midst of making those mistakes, a lot of times I discover different techniques that makes it easier for me going forward. So I'm like, oh, okay, next time, like, I didn't know that I could do that. But, okay, you can't be afraid to fail in
Hmm.
a sense. And you don't look at it as failure, just look at it as like, I'm going to keep working at this till I get it right. And in the meantime, take note of the things that I'm learning to advance myself along the way. Pattern pieces, you have to cut them out. So I just say like they're puzzle pieces,
Hmm.
and the instructions show you how to put them together. So if you have a free mind, if you don't mind, you know, making something 300 times until like it comes out, like that's how it is in the lab when you're trying to work on an experiment or you're doing research. Sometimes it takes years before you get a formula just right, and you just got to keep going and going and going. It's the
Yeah,
hours.
it's the hours. I was gonna say, and the monotony of it, and not everybody has the inclination or the desire to do something as monotonous as something like research and potentially even sewing, because it's like this is the formula, this is what you do, and you do find things to nuance ways to do things better or quicker. But
Hmm.
I mean, taking too many shortcuts means that something is likely not gonna come out the way you thought. And
That's
so
what I learned early on.
yes, so in terms of how you've developed over since like you said 2013, um when you really started to like go in and start making pieces, where are you now in terms of, I mean, you started the LLC, but what is your biggest or your greatest growth point, do you think, since you started your fashion line or
It seems small, but I would say like getting in front of the camera. Don't like doing that. I like being behind the scenes, behind the camera. But I just learned like, yeah, the clothes look nice on a mannequin, but no one can really like style it or wear it the way I see it in my mind. So I just, when I first started taking pictures, my face was not in the camera. It was like, it was neck down. I didn't want to be seen. And it started off accidentally too, because when I'm sewing, I look crazy. So if I'm finished with a piece, I'm just going to throw it on. I feel like it was either, oh, I can just crop, neck
yeah.
down. But I started venturing out more when I finished with school, like going to different parks. That's like my thing. I love to just
Hmm.
find a different park and take pictures and take clothes. It's you have to have fun. You have to have fun with it. You have to make it your own and find out how you're comfortable. But I know like wearing my own clothes, being in front of the camera, that's huge because
Yeah, I love it. And so I guess like what do you see for yourself now that you finished school? You feel like you kind of understand what you want in terms of a career. How do you see, what is it, styled by Mo? Did I get that
made
right?
by Mo.
Made by Mo. Made by Mo. How do you see that, like in the 5, 10 year span of things in terms of your engagement with it?
By 2025, I want to, I say strictly, but I'll say like majority of the things I wear, I want it to be menswear. I'm eventually going to get away from women's wear. I've always loved, before I knew how to sew, I always loved menswear. I like styling men. I like picking out shirt, suit, tie. Like I just feel like I have an eye for color and like what goes and what fits. Men typically are easier customers too because they're just kind of like, whatever you think is
Make me
fast,
make me look
just
good,
make me
like
look good. And that's good for me because it doesn't box me in as far as like what I see for them. As long as you're open to like certain things and open to different style and trying new things, because you're coming to me, so like what I see for you may be different than what you see for you. So like working with a blank canvas, I would like to open eventually a storefront and have a fashion show, but I would have a fashion show for like, women's wear before I
for
venture
sure.
out to men's. But
Okay. So I know at least from my like looking at clothes, I venture in the men's section here and there. It seems like their clothes are more intricate. First of all, the sizes, there's like 8 sizes for the pants. And I'm like, all I need is a large. Like that's like
yeah,
like 32 by 34. And you're like, okay, all right. And the
the
shirt got the neck.
tailoring,
The
yeah,
tailoring is like to a T. So you
it's
mentioned
different.
styling men. You see yourself actually also sewing and menswear as well.
Yeah, which is,
Okay.
I don't know about shirts per se, but definitely suits, like suits and then like bow ties, ties, pocket squares, those type of accessories. But definitely I would want to I mean making my own shirt would, I mean, use one stop shop, but
Right.
but
Right. Right.
definitely suits. And I said I'm gonna practice on my child first
Hey,
because he's right
he's
there.
a free. He's a customer at this point. And like,
Yes,
and I
but
feel like crazy part is that I feel like if there's something that mothers will also do is pay for their sons to look good too, right? So like little
prom,
menswear, prom, all that stuff. So yeah, for sure,
yes.
100% love it.
And I want
Okay.
to push more like men, because I sew and I style, like I look at things differently. But like a lot of men have, nice suits. But what kills me is like they don't go get it tailored. Like they don't go get their pants cuffed just right.
Hence,
Maybe they're too
yeah.
long or they're too short, or everybody can't wear, the skinny leg pants or like above
Mm-mm.
the ankle pants. Sometimes their jackets are too long or they're not fitting right. So all those things, not saying that women are perfect because we're not either, but I
Yeah.
feel like I see that issue more with men. They just go by like the quote off the rack, like, oh, if it's my neck, if it's my arm length, if it's my waist, we're good. No, just spend the extra $20,
just
$40.
just a little bit.
Just a little extra because it makes a difference
Hmm.
when you're going for a job interview, if you're going to church, who doesn't love a man in a well-tailored suit? It's
Right.
We're letting go of the baggy pants, the sag. We're not gonna sag our dress
We're not
pants.
gonna do that. We're not gonna do.
No, no.
Ah, I love it. And so, do you see yourself also keeping your forensic science stuff going as well? Or do you think that it's going to be like, will it be like 60-40 relationship? Or do you see yourself eventually, if it takes off, being able to let it go?
I don't know. I don't think I'll ever let forensic science go. I really have just said I'm working towards both. So
Okay.
however it plans out, it goes that way. I do still have want a career in forensics. I also want to be have my own consulting firm eventually.
Mm.
So having your own business, as you know, it kind of is easier in a sense because you can tailor your schedule more. Like I'm a night owl. So I might not start sewing to 8 o'clock at night to 3 o'clock in the morning, but
Mm,
it's fine
right.
because that's how it works for me. So however it balances out, we'll
Okay.
see.
I love to see it. I love to see it. I love the fact that some people they have a passion to focus on one thing and put all their energies. And I feel like sometimes the I don't know, that entrepreneurial hype makes it sound like you can't you're not giving your all if you're doing something else kind of thing.
Hmm.
And like you see foresight of having your own consulting thing, but I think also people can understand you can have it's building your different streams of assets. It's building your streams of income, and not all of them rely on one
One
kind of
thing.
skills that you have, right? So I love the fact that your story encompasses both a traditional and non-traditional route to like managing your career and what you do for yourself. And then, I mean, like you mentioned kind of slightly, like you had a kid in college. For a lot of people, that derails their plans altogether. And you showed a lot of fortitude and resilience around being able to manage that and complete your degree. And though maybe it took a little bit longer than you would have desired, but you got it done, right? And so you're
Yeah.
able to say like, that's not, and I commend you for that, because I personally knew a number of people in college who just weren't able to do it, and it had a lot to do with support system and being
Yes.
able to have someone to help you
Hmm.
see that. So I guess um, as we come towards the end, there's two more questions I want to ask you. So one, I would say, what would you we kind of you kind of forecasted what you hope for your future and things. How do you hope to inspire like others through the things that you do? Um, whether it's your son's friends or like however wherever communities you're part of, how do you see yourself um being embedded in those communities?
Um, Really, I want people to pursue what their passion is. Like, I feel like it's a double-edged sword because I always knew I loved forensic science, but I even now, like, I'm still trying to get a job in the fields where other people maybe they wanted to be a teacher, maybe they wanted to be a doctor, where their route was, more direct for them
Hmm.
um, to get to, or maybe they didn't know. But I say take time to explore different things. Don't feel like, you have to be in the same career for 40 years. And
Hmm.
that's just exposure, that's doing different things. And I say, whatever you want to do, just be the best at it and work at it. Like, don't halfway do it, because I feel like a lot of people, especially like in our millennials, like we were taught to chase the money, go after the careers that have a lot of money.
Hmm.
And maybe we had a passion for dance, or maybe we had a passion for cooking, but our parents were like, that don't make no money. Like,
That
how are
don't
you gonna
pay
pay your
bills.
bills? You have student loans that you have to take care of. And it's like, you know what? Yes, go to college, major in something. I still feel like that, even if it's not college, like get a skill,
A
learn a
skill,
trade,
right?
whether it's learning how to cut hair or doing nails, like have something that even if you go to school for business and then maybe you can have a minor in
Hmm.
dance, have a backup plan, because yes, we still need to survive. And even though social media makes it seem like you can start a business today and you're a millionaire tomorrow, that's not reality.
Not.
It's it's
For the
it's
majority of people, it is not reality.
it's not reality. You spend a lot of your own money. You spend hours and hours of time dedicating to it. But if you love it, if you're passionate about it, you just have to zone out and you just have to focus in and believe. And like I said, don't feel like you have to have like every little single thing, lined up the way it's supposed to be.
Hmm.
Just get started. So yeah, I say, these kids, they want to be influencers. Hey, some of these 14-year-olds are millionaires. I'm not.
Right.
So if you can
If
make it
that's your
work for you,
path.
but always have an exit plan, or I'm just going to use the influencer route again because I just feel like that's the easiest thing. A lot of people start out and they're just like, oh, I just want to be an Instagram comedian. And it's like, okay, like what type of comedy are you going to do? Because as you see, a lot of people stay boxed in the
Right.
same type of like, script. And it's like, are you marketable? Can you be in a commercial? Because there are a lot of Instagram
Right. But
comedians
we
that
see
have
the
gone.
same comedians that's in the same like commercial. I mean, they've locked in their careers
Yeah,
enough.
yeah, but you know what I'm saying? But at least you're marketable. Like and
Right.
that's the thing, like a lot of people aren't marketable. Like with sewing, I try not to, oh, I just make dresses, or I just make skirts, or I just make pants. Like I like to make
Hmm.
a little of everything, to have variety, to have options. And I feel like that also opens my customer base. So
Yeah. All right, Vera Wang, we gonna see you. So, we gonna put it
Zoom
in the
asked you to make a
atmosphere.
wedding dress.
I was about to say, should we start now? I don't have the man fully worked out, but we can just start now, piece by piece.
You can have that Gordon Gartrell wedding dress.
Oh no. Yo, that's one of my favorite episodes. You actually kind of answered the second one, like the piece of advice, the word of advice, for those who are not only trying to figure out how they're doing the balancing act, or they feel the pressure to abandon one thing that they love to sacrifice something else or put a lot of time. And so, like you said, you can find what works. Um, I feel like there's a time in our lives for everything, and I do think that sometimes you have to focus your energy, but I don't think there needs to be this like abandonment of something for you to be able to do something else well. I do, like you said, I believe in transferable skills. That's why I asked you like how you see the world in science. Is that the same way that you see it? Like you put things together in your doing being a seamstress and fashion person. But I appreciate your story for those facets, and also because I think that for a lot of people, I've heard a lot of people talk about their interest in fashion, but it's
Mm-hmm.
usually more in like design um or like styling and working as a stylist and things like that. And one person, I had a friend who started a business in Texas, and she started a salon.
Mm-hmm.
And after a couple of years, it didn't do too well. And I asked her, we were having a conversation about why she didn't think that she had to sell the business and everything. And she was like, one thing I learned was that I should not get into a business of something that I can't put my hand to. So she didn't actually do hair,
Oh, okay.
and she just loves hair. She loves selling hair, but she didn't have the raw skill set of doing hair. So when she has a stylist that doesn't show up, she can't be like, well, I got to work this seat. So she's losing customers and things like that. So I think
Very
that for
important.
you, very important, right? So having this foundational seems to, even if one day somehow you get found out and somebody's like, can you be my stylist? They want you to do this and they want you to put things together. You're not always making every single piece. But if
Right.
somebody needed an alteration real fast, you could be like, hold up, whip it out.
Yeah.
I could, I got you, right? Which makes you, like you said, marketable. So I think that's a life lesson that I've definitely taken from my friend, and it seems like it applies here. Like you're working on those foundational things. How that pans out in the future is whatever, but you'll definitely have that very raw skill to be able to, propel your career forward.
I think that's important because a lot of people I feel like this is just my how I feel. I feel like some people are either really good seamstresses and like not good designers, or they're really good designers and not good seamstresses. Like I feel like it's hard to find somebody who's an excellent seamstress and can design their own things from scratch. So, I kind of give the side eye when people call themselves like a designer or like seam, because I'm just looking like, you know, perfect your skill. If you want to be both a designer and seamstress, take that time to learn how to sew. If you want to be a designer, like take that time to really learn how to design, because sometimes good designs get lost in,
Mm-hmm.
the quality of sewing that people are giving. People always ask like, oh, would you have other people sew for you? Never. I'm only sewing my stuff. However, like you're saying, like I would like to have other people help me, because let's say I did have other people sew for me, even look at a garment and be like, oh, this is off, or this is why this looks at that. Like, I don't necessarily have to sew something to know what's wrong with it. And like you said with the friend, she doesn't do hair. So if somebody's complaining like, oh, it should be X, Y, and Z, you don't really have that background to understand the complaint or what the person is
No.
saying to you.
Right, exactly.
So even if
100.
you don't like, even if it's just taking a few cooking classes, if you want to open a restaurant, or taking a few sewing classes just to learn the basics of what you're going to get yourself involved in,
Yep.
very important.
Very important. I love it. Yeah. And cooking's another one. Like people want to open restaurants. It's like, "Bro, have you seen a chef's kitchen? Have you even picked
Yes.
up? Like, do you know what the
Have you
order and
worked
the
in a
menu? Have
restaurant?
you
Have you
walked in a
done
restaurant?"
catering?
Right. I agree. And I think those types of experiential investments are super necessary to honing in on your own skills. So all right, we're going to wrap it up here because I feel like we could then go into another topic area. But yeah, you dropped some nuggets and definitely reassured some of the things that I've had experience with and I've seen happen, transpire, and the lives of those that are trying to juggle two different passions that sometimes don't feel as connected. But I think it's
Yes.
a lot of times it's more about bigger picture. It's about the way you think, it's the way you navigate the world and problem solve. So I think that's really cool. Thank you again for being my
Thank
final guest
you.
on the Fine Arts Edition.
Yes.
For everybody that checks out this video, I'll put your, why can't I ever remember this thing?
You want me to
I
put it in the
really,
comments? Or
yeah,
no, it's just say it.
I could, I can actually, I can actually at you and put your made by Mo,
Okay.
your tag. I don't social media, y'all. I just press live and then I get confused each and every time. So, but I appreciate you for coming on here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and we'll get together soon
Yes.
for sure. Take care.
Bye.